some time ago, a guy that lives in a state that looks like a giant oven mitt decided to start his own podcast. He's cooler than you. His favorite pizza topping is pineapple because he knows it makes you angry. This is CuJo's Corner. Alright. How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to another edition of CuJo's Corner. I'm Justin Crumley. First and foremost, before we get into the show today, I just want to ask everyone, how are you all doing? You doing okay? I hope so. Anyway, guys, got a great show planned for you guys today. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl last week. We're going to dive into a little bit of some Matt Stafford. A little topic that's come up in the sports world. Some news about Michigan and expanding their NIL, finally. And we also got some news about Jim Harbaugh. They finally signed his contract with Michigan. We'll talk about that. The last thing we're going to talk about before the embarrassing story, of course, is going to be a little news about college football playoffs. So without further ado, let's just get right into today's topic with some news from last week, the Super Bowl. So, yeah, it's a week old. I know we've all seen it by now. The Rams are Super Bowl champions. They beat the Bengals by a score of 23-20. Bengals offensive line failed them on the last play, and the Rams came up with a game-winning strip sack. It was on a fourth down play anyway, I believe, so it wouldn't have mattered if unless it was recovered over the first down line by the Bengals, it wouldn't have mattered. But nonetheless, game's over. Rams are the champs. I guess I don't really have a whole lot to say about the game, other than the fact that I feel kind of annoyed. Like, normally, I don't hate it when I'm wrong, when I lose on a Super Bowl, but I gotta be honest, I don't think it could have happened to a less deserving fan base. Now, I know that sounds like sour grapes, and a lot of people hearing that are going to be like, you just hate the Rams. You know what? It's nothing against the Rams. It's nothing against Stafford. I just think they don't have any real fans. I think they have what you would call a paper fan base. Or at least what I would call a paper fan base. It's a fan base that doesn't really exist. I mean, look at all the people they showed attending the game. Guys like Matt Damon, I think they showed Ben Affleck, LeBron James was there. These are not guys that gave a crap about the Rams when they were in St. Louis. Yeah, they had a parade. I didn't even bother watching, to be honest. I was at work, so I didn't watch it for that reason. But also, I just couldn't stand the thought of watching, like I said, a fan base as undeserving as the Rams celebrating a championship. I just didn't want to see it. I'll say this. I'm happy for Aaron Donald. The only thing he was really missing in his career was a Super Bowl ring. Been voted number one player, best player in the NFL. How many years in the top 100 players? Guy's been a defensive player of the year, I think, a couple of years in a row, like 3 years, something like that. This is all off the top of my head. So, really, the only thing he needed to add to his collection was a Super Bowl ring. I'm happy for him. And to be honest, I guess I am a little happy for Matt Stafford. As a guy who watched him play for the Lions for his whole career up to, minus this year in LA. I always thought Stafford was a good quarterback. I always thought he could be a Super Bowl winning quarterback if he had the tools around him. He's got to keep in mind he did lead the league in picks this year. He's like a Brett Favre kind of quarterback. He's a gunslinger. Um, and unfortunately, the Lions just most of the years that he was here, there were a couple of years where they did make the playoffs 3 times with him, and I think it was like 2013 or something. It was the year they had like Nick Fairley, Adamik Sue. They had like a top 5 defense that year, so there were years where they were good. And Stafford, I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying like, oh, everything bad that happened to Stafford in Detroit was all Detroit's fault. No, I do think Stafford should kind of own some of the blame in Detroit. Because there were games where he just threw some bad picks and lost the game. Lost them the game. And before anyone comes at me with like, oh, look at all those fourth quarter comebacks. Did those fourth quarter comebacks mean anything? You can't beat teams like the Packers. You can't win your division. I'm just saying, Stafford. I think it is fair to say that Stafford was responsible for some of the losses. However, it is also fair to say that he could be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He just proved it. It's just the Lions didn't really have the team around him. That's a whole nother story. I don't really want to get into that. That's just a rant. But nonetheless, I was a little happy for him. I don't really care for his wife much, so I'm not gonna say anything about her. But yeah, it was kind of nice to see Matt Stafford get a ring. I guess what I'm saying is I'm more happy for the players than I am the fans, because I don't think the Rams have I don't think they have a very good fan base. I think that is fair to say. So maybe this is sour grapes. Maybe this rant is a little petty. I really don't care. I wasn't happy to see it. But nonetheless, I'm a beaten man. I was wrong. I wanted Cincy to win. They didn't. I also want to address something. I guess the Bengals had like a fan appreciation thing where they were kind of just celebrating and whatnot. Some people I listened to on the radio were kind of taking issue with it. They were basically saying like, oh, they're basically celebrating losing. I get what they're saying. I don't really agree, though. Think about it like this. The Bengals they don't have any Lombardis in their trophy case. There's none. They've been to 3 Super Bowls. They have never won. They came close this time. They led for a decent amount of the game. They were up 20-13, and unfortunately, they just couldn't keep the lead. They couldn't hold it. I personally don't take issue with them having like a fan appreciation thing, because the Bengals, I don't remember when they went and lost to the 49ers. I think it was like 20-16. I think it was like some point in the 80s or something. I honestly, off the top of my head, I don't know. I don't take any issue with it. Now, if the Patriots had did something like that, yeah, I would be a little upset because we have 6 Lombardi trophies. I don't think we should celebrate just making the Super Bowl, but in my opinion, the context is a little different. At least in the Tom Brady, under like the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick thing, and while Belichick is still our coach, although, like I said, I still think it's a little different for us because we've watched the Pats win 6 Lombardi trophies. So, yeah. Overall, now, my overall thoughts about the game itself, this is a good game. It really was. A lot of good plays, a lot of great plays were made. It was fun to see Burrow keep the Bengals in it, even though he was getting knocked around pretty bad in the second half. And I think if you're a Cincinnati fan, you got nothing to hang your head about. I think they played tough. I think they played really well in the postseason. And look, I haven't looked into the salary cap situation, but it's simple. Work on your offensive line. Protect your quarterback. Because, like I said at the beginning of the whole thing about the Super Bowl, the last play was a strip sack, fumble, and it was over. That doesn't happen if you have a decent offensive line. If you give Joe Burrow enough time to make a play, I think he can make a play. Burrow is special enough of a player. And that's another thing about this. Burrow and Jamar Chase, they're gonna have some great years together in Cincinnati. It really is nowhere but up. So if you are a Bengals fan, I think you got nothing to be ashamed of. I think you hang your head up. It's simple. Fix your offensive line. Maybe look to the draft, look to free agency. I would get a left tackle or something to protect your quarterback. But once you fix that, I think this is only a sign of things to come. I think the Bengals got a pretty bright future. As for the Rams, well, I don't know. I don't really care. They won. They got their ring. They did it. They put together their little super team and they won. Fine. It is what it is. I'm gonna give them their props. They played hard, and like I said, I do legitimately. I don't want people to get the wrong idea. I am happy for Aaron Donald. And it is nice to see a guy like that get a ring. Consistently making like the number one and top 100 players list from his fellow peers. It would have been criminal if he had never won. If he had never won a Super Bowl, I think. Von Miller gets his second ring. That was also kind of nice. Odell Beckham Jr. got a ring, so that was cool. Like I said, I guess I'm not mad that the players went out and did their job. I just don't like that their paper fan base gets to celebrate a championship. It's honestly half the reason I wanted Cincy to win. Like, I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I'm just going to keep it real. I wanted half the reason I wanted Cincy to win is because of the LA Rams paper fan base. But I'm going to leave it there. I'm not even going to ask you guys what you thought of the Super Bowl, because I'm sure you guys are going to tell me anyway, whether you agree with me or not. That's fine. It is what it is. I like talking about this kind of stuff with you guys. Overall, I thought the Super Bowl was a great game. I didn't watch the halftime show, so I don't really have anything to say about that. But the game itself was a lot of fun. A lot of great plays. There was scoring. There was drama. It was all there. Definitely, I think it's going to go down as a classic, for sure. Alright, so that's going to lead us to our next topic. Is Matt Stafford a Hall of Famer? So this came up last week. I think it was Richard Sherman had kind of said he doesn't think Stafford is a Hall of Famer. That he doesn't. He thinks the bar is set very low. I don't know the exact quote, but he basically said like the bar is low and Stafford will probably get in because of that. So the question became, is Matt Stafford a Hall of Famer? Now, I'm sorry if you guys hear some typing in the background. I'm actually pulling up Stafford's numbers right now. Well, not his numbers, but like I want to bring up his resume because let's see, because it's the Hall of Fame, not the Hall of Great. So let's see. All right. So I got his Wikipedia page pulled up, and let's see. The NFL, we got Super Bowl champion, obviously. NFL Comeback Player of the Year in 2011. Pro Bowl selection in 2014. And he was part of the Detroit Lions all-time team. Okay, take that for what it is. And best comeback athlete at the ESPY Awards in 2011. Okay, so looking at this, I would actually say that Matt Stafford is not a Hall of Famer. I don't think he is. I actually agree with Richard Sherman. So, more than likely, Stafford is probably going to get in. Yes. If he were to retire, like right now, he probably would get in. I don't think it'd be a first ballot, but, he would probably get in. I understand why some people think that he should. I get it. And I think it's for the same reason that Richard Sherman clearly laid out. The bar is incredibly low, especially for a quarterback. I would actually say it mostly for quarterbacks. And I would say look no further than a guy like Joe Namath. You look at Joe Namath's numbers, they're not very good. They're just not. Like, go look them up. I think one time I did, and they were almost on par with, like, Chad Pennington. So, you look at Namath's numbers, they're not very good. But when you look at his resume, when you look at... Here, let me pull it up. You look at his resume, here you go. Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, NFL Comeback Player of the Year, second team All-Pro, Pro Bowl selection, 1972, NFL passing yards leader in 72, NFL passing touchdowns leader in 72, won some Courage Award in 69, I don't know, whatever, was an AFL champion in 68, a two-time AFL MVP in 68 and 69, a first-team All-AFL in 68, three-time second-team All-AFL, four-time AFL All-Star. Whatever that means. I think that was like maybe the Pro Bowl at the time. AFL Rookie of the Year, two-time AFL passing yards leader, 66 and 67, AFL all-time team, so on and so forth. Now, you look at all that, and then the story, the painting looks a little bit different. You think, oh, well, okay, got all that. Now, the game was a lot different back then than it is now, and I think the numbers do pan that out. When you look at Joe Namath's numbers, they're not very good. But I read off all those accomplishments. You'd think that guy was like Tom Brady or something. Or, I don't know, maybe that's a bit of a stretch. But compare all that to Matt Stafford. I just don't think Matt Stafford's done enough. Now one could say, oh, but Matt Stafford has better numbers. Well, okay, but think about this. It's the Hall of Fame, not the Hall of Great. So, and let's be real. Stafford is probably going to get in. Just because the bar is very low. And a guy like Joe Namath. Namath's numbers are not good. But he's got quite a decorated resume. So he's in. I don't think Stafford's resume is quite strong enough. I think he's got good numbers, but he's never led the league in yards. He's never led the league in touchdowns. He doesn't have a league MVP. He only has one Pro Bowl selection, which I personally don't really factor Pro Bowl selections that much, but nonetheless, that they do when going over like a Hall of Fame career. He's never been a first team or second team All-Pro. He's never been a league MVP. Didn't win a Super Bowl MVP. Doesn't even have that. All he has is that ring. That's it. And if all you're going to hand me is, well, they wouldn't have got there without him, I see that and I say, he led the league in picks. So, it's almost like an Eli Manning kind of thing. You could look at those 2 Super Bowls that the Giants have and say, Eli Manning did that. Eli. No. No. Eli had a couple of good years. He played around some really good talent, and they carried him. I look at the situation that the Rams just did, and I see what Matt Stafford did, and I see a good quarterback, not like transcendent, but good, a guy that can win, and that's what happened. I don't see a Hall of Famer here. Now, you might be thinking, well, Justin, what can Matt Stafford do to be a Hall of Famer in your eyes? Guys, the answer is very simple. There's one of 2 things that Matt Stafford could do that, in my opinion, would solidify him as a Hall of Famer. He could win a league MVP, or he could win another Super Bowl and get Super Bowl MVP. I want him to go out there and legitimately prove that he is the reason a team won. Because you can easily look at the LA Rams and like, oh, they won, and this and that, and such and such. And I did say that Stafford's legacy is the same as Aaron Rodgers. Well, I said their legacies are the same. I never said their resumes were. Aaron Rodgers, whether I like him or not, is going to be a Hall of Famer. And I would argue he should be. He's got the resume for it. And he's got a ring. Matt Stafford, same thing. He's got a ring. Well, I guess it's not really the same thing, but Stafford's got a ring, but he doesn't have the legacy is that, oh, he can win on a good team. So can Aaron Rodgers. Although I would say talent-wise, Aaron Rodgers is better, but nonetheless, as of right now, the legacies are the same. I'm getting so confused right now. I'm like bringing up other quarterbacks. Anyway, so it's very simple. I want Stafford to prove that he is the definitive reason that a team won. I don't want him. If he wants to prove to me that he is a Hall of Famer, he's got to be more than just Eli Manning or Ben Roethlisberger. He's got to be more than just really, really good, but needs help. He's got to be great. He's got to be like special. He has to go above and beyond. That's just what I think. I know what I think really doesn't matter. It's just my opinion on the whole thing. So anyway, guys, with all that said, I want to know where you're at. Did I convince you that Matt Stafford is not a Hall of Famer? Or do you still think he is? Whatever you think, throw it in the comment section below. Let's get a conversation going about this, as always. And with all that said, we're going to go ahead and move on to Little Michigan football. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one because really there's not a whole lot to say. But it does appear that Michigan is expanding its NIL through something called the Victor's Local Exchange Program. Okay, so I got an article pulled up here. I'll throw a link in the description below. So it says here, this is from SI.com. It's Fan Nation, Wolverine Digest. Michigan makes significant NIL announcement. The University of Michigan has taken a big step towards connecting student athletes with business opportunities. This is from February 9th, 2002, written by Christopher Breiler. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Breiler. I'm not sure. I do apologize if I botch that. And my phone is going to keep vibrating because, of course, it is. So, the University of Michigan made a significant move in the world of NIL on Wednesday, announcing its Victor's Local Exchange Program. The program is designed to connect athletes with registered businesses or individuals interested in connecting with student athletes at the University of Michigan. Through its partnership with Influcert, INFLCR, I think that's, I I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, whatever. The University of Michigan today has opened its Victor's Local Exchange program to the public to expand its ongoing name, image, and likeness NIL program for student athletes. The first NCAA school to provide a uniform jersey licensing program for its student athletes, the University of Michigan has leveraged numerous business relationships into innovative partnerships and educational opportunities since NIL went into effect in July 2021. Now, additional businesses can apply for opportunities to partner with student athletes to reach global audiences through a streamlined process on the Victor's Local Exchange. The Victor's Local Exchange is a student athlete NIL business registry custom designed for businesses, donors, alumni, and other interested NIL dollars wishing to connect specifically with student athletes at the University of Michigan. Registered companies can search, filter, and initiate conversations with your student athletes to discuss an NIL deal. Once the NIL deal between a registered business and student athlete or athletes is completed, the business will use the Victor's Exchange to create a transaction that directly pays the student athlete without any transaction fee and automate a disclosure to the INFLCR verified compliance ledger. Okay, so I'm gonna leave the article in the description below in case you guys want to read that, because I just botched the English language as bad as I did. So yeah, this is pretty cool. I'm happy to see Michigan finally dipping their toe in NIL. I believe this was one of the things that Harbaugh was bugging about. He nonstop said money wasn't an issue when it came to coaching at Michigan. And he just wanted to be able to compete, wanted to be able to win. And I think opening up NIL is a good way to do it. I've said it before, I'll say it again. College football, well, the college sports world as a whole, is changing. And rather than fight it and stick to this whole, oh gosh golly gee whiz, we gotta be traditional, gee whiz, we gotta be so traditional because we're Michigan and that's how we did it in the old days, wee, gosh golly. Guys, times are different. The world is different. Think about it like this. If an Ohio State scout and a Michigan scout are trying to get a 5-star defensive end or a 5-star cornerback or maybe a 5-star wide receiver, how is it going to compare when the Ohio State guy is like, oh, we allow our students to have NIL. We'll get you hooked up with like a new car or maybe like I don't know, like a shoe deal somewhere with like Nike or whatever. I don't know. And then, he looks over at the Michigan scout, and the Michigan scout says, our helmets have wings, and we'll let you wear the number 1. We don't let just anybody wear number 1. We run out of a tunnel and slap a banner that says Go Blue, and we look really tough and cool. And our color scheme, like, don't you want to wear a blue jersey with a yellow number? I don't think I have to tell you guys how that one's going to end. This is big. This is what Michigan needs to do in order to stay on top. As the saying goes, you either evolve or you wither off and die. Well, this is Michigan evolving. I think this is a good thing. My only hope is that they use it. They do it. They get some good NIL going. They get some good recruitment going. I think this is a good thing. Like I said, guys, I'll leave the article in the description below. You guys can go ahead and read it, kind of come to your own conclusions. I think this is great. I don't think the whole we're gonna allow our students to take a certain cut of their jersey sales. I don't think that was enough. I don't think you're gonna attract too many student athletes out of high school. And it's like Adrian Toomes in Spider-Man Homecoming said, "World's changing, boys. Time we change too. I think this is a good thing. So speaking of Michigan football, we are going to talk a little bit about some Jim Harbaugh, and it's actually, it's actually news that doesn't make me want to put my head through a car windshield. So, and it also doesn't make me want to do the dramatic little, oh, my dear Harbaugh kind of thing. This is actually a pretty decent story, so let's go ahead and pull this up. This is from CBS Sports. Jim Harbaugh contract. Michigan extends coach through 2026 season, raising deal to $36.7 million. All right, this is from, like I said, CBS Sports. And much like the NIL deal, I'll leave this one in the description below in case you guys want to check it out yourself. But I'm going to go ahead and read this. Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh has agreed to a new 5-year, $36.7 million contract with the Wolverines after flirting with the NFL over the offseason. The new deal marks Harbaugh's return as one of the highest paid coaches in college football. His annual compensation starts at $7.05 million in 2022 and goes up steadily to $7.63 million in 2026. In all, it's more than a $3 million increase from his 2021 base salary, which I do think he has earned. I mean, he did go out and got us a Big Ten championship. He took us to the playoffs. I mean, yeah, we got absolutely skull-fucked by Georgia, but, nonetheless. Okay, so let's go. Okay, this is just a quote from Harbaugh. I'm going to skip that. Okay, so the new deal includes multiple incentives. A national title will pay Harbaugh $1 million, as will a Big Ten championship, an appearance in a national semifinal, and a Big Ten East title will net $500,000 each. And a New Year's Six appearance without a division title will send $200,000 Harbaugh's way. Harbaugh will earn $50,000 if he is named Big Ten Coach of the Year by the conference's coaches, and another $75,000 if he is named one of the National Coach of the Year by one of the major voting organizations. Okay, so this is really the interesting part that I wanted to get to. It's a very incentive-based contract, and I really like that because this is going to prove this is basically Jim Harbaugh living up to exactly what he said, which is that money is not really of importance to him, and it's more or less about the winning. Well, the more he wins, the more money he earns. I think this is good. I think this is perfect. It worked last time around. It worked this past year, and I think this is the best way Michigan could have went. So the last little bit here, Harbaugh led Michigan to its first Big Ten championship since 2004 and an appearance in a college football playoff last season, where it lost 34-11 to eventual national champion Georgia. The Wolverines also topped rival Ohio State for the first time since 2011, while defensive end Aiden Hutchinson was named a Heisman finalist following a breakout season. He actually came in second place, too, might add. Okay, so last time I talked about Harbaugh, I talked about the antics, him flirting with the NFL, all that other stuff. And the article actually didn't mention that I think the buyout is like $750,000 or something like that. I'm not sure off the top of my head what the buyout is, but it's an incredibly low buyout. So I think this is about the best contract that Michigan could have given Jim Harbaugh. At least in my opinion, it is. Now, I still stand by everything I said. I think if Harbaugh wants to get back in good graces with Michigan fans, he's got to go out and do exactly what he did. But it is good to know that Michigan gave him a new contract. They gave him an extension. They realized that that's what needed to be done. They've more or less kind of put this whole Harbaugh to insert NFL team here. They kind of put that to bed, at least for now, I think. So yeah, like overall, I would say this is a good contract for Michigan football and Jim Harbaugh. I think this gives Harbaugh a lot of incentive to go out and do his thing, to go out and win, and yeah, I think the only thing they got to do now, like I said, they did kind of expand their NIL a bit. The only thing they got to do now is allow Harbaugh to hit the transfer portal. That's really it. That's the last thing. Break the break the mentality of no, we got to do it the right way. We got to do it a certain way, and start doing it the new way. Because I want to be on top. I want to be the team that everyone thinks about when they think of the Big Ten. I want Ohio State to fear playing Michigan every year. I want Michigan to be in the playoffs every year. I want them to be the next like Alabama or the next Georgia or shit. I mean Clemson's kind of fallen off the map a little bit, but they were they're still considered one of the better teams out there. I want Michigan to be one of the better teams. I want them to remain on top. And I guess I'm done with like the fake arrogance, the fool's arrogance, as I'm gonna start calling it. This whole thing of like, no, we got to do it a certain way. We got to do it the right way. Well, what the hell is the right way? There is no right way. So overall, I'm gonna reel it back in. It's a good contract. I like this one. I think it is fair to say that Harbaugh has earned a an extension, and he has earned a raise. And I do like the that it's incentive based. It gives him something to keep striving for. So yeah, and I guess the final thing I'll say before moving on to the last thing we're going to talk about before the embarrassing story is I want to quote Mike Valenti. When it comes to a college football coach, you either pay your coach or you let him go. I think that's true. Because think about it like this. Most college football coaches don't plan on staying at their place for very long, except for Nick Saban. Nick Saban's probably an exception to the rule, but even he tried his hand in the NFL. Pete Carroll stayed at USC for a decent amount of time before he finally went back to Seattle. But Pete Carroll had previous stints in the NFL before that. So there are exceptions to the rule, but I do think as a general rule, I agree with that. I do agree with that. Yeah. So, yep. We're going to move on now to the last topic. But before we do, I'm going to go ahead and throw the question out there. Michigan fans, what do you think of Harbaugh's contract? What do you think? How is Harbaugh going to get back in good graces with you? I guess I can't speak for all Michigan fans, so by all means, go ahead and throw your thoughts, your opinions down below. And we're going to go ahead and move on to some recent news about the college football playoffs. Now, I don't have an article pulled up. I actually just jotted down a little bit of some notes. Any hopes of the college football playoffs expanding were dashed. Unfortunately, the talks did fall through. Again, I don't know off the top of my head why I don't have an article pulled up. So the basic gist is this. College football playoffs is staying at the format it is now, which is 4 teams through 2025. And the only reason I have a article pulled up, I really don't get. I don't care why the talks fell through. I don't care. If you guys want to know why, you go ahead and look that up yourself. I just kind of want to talk about the whole college football expansion thing. Now, I don't know if I've talked about this before. I might have mentioned it a few times, maybe like talking about the opt-outs. College football playoff expansion has been an incredibly hot topic for a while now in the college football world. I'm going to go ahead and turn my fan on because it's getting hot in here. Sorry, guys. Just like trying to move my fan. So, where do I stand on all this college football playoff extension talk? Well, to be honest, guys, I'm actually for it. I'm for it. Now, I've heard arguments against, say, stuff like, oh, well, it'll kill the regular season, it'll make it less exciting. Not necessarily. I actually think it would add more drama to the season. Because it wouldn't be as simple as, oh, we lost a game, we're not making the playoffs, damn. No, it'd be like, oh, fuck, we lost a game, we can't lose again. Ugh. There's more drama there. Not to mention, look at the drama that comes in the playoffs. You add 4 more teams, let's make it like 8. I don't think they should expand more than 8, because I know that's the next question is, do you think the college football playoffs should expand? Well, yes, I do. I don't think it should go past 8. I really don't. I think 8 is a perfect number. You get 2 teams from each conference. Well, maybe not 2 teams from each conference, but 2 teams, it'd be each conference winner automatically, so that's 5. And then you got 3 spots right there. Now, I don't know, group of 5, power 5. Personally, I don't know if that should really matter. That's why I'm trying to expand it. I want to give teams more opportunities in the playoffs. And that's why I'm for expanding the playoffs to 8. I don't think it should go past 8 myself. Mostly because the opportunity for other teams in conferences like Power 5, like Group of 5. We just saw Cincinnati break through and make it. Now, granted, they got absolutely mollywopped by Alabama, but nonetheless, they punched their ticket, they made it. I don't think a whole lot of people expected Michigan to really do much against Georgia. It's just me personally. I was a little bit bummed when when they decided not to. They're gonna keep the playoffs as it is. I am for expansion. I also think that would solve like the opt-out issue. Just think about it like this: guys like Kenneth Walker and Kenny Pickett don't opt out of that game if it's a playoff game, if it's for a chance to play in the national championship. It's definitely a very complex conversation, and I think there's a lot of nuance to it, which is why I'm going to throw it to you guys. Where do you all stand on this topic? Are you for college expansion, college football playoff expansion? Are you against it? Personally, I'm for it. The biggest reasons are I want to give more opportunities to other teams. I think it would actually it would add more drama to the season, and I also think it would solve the player opt-outs. So, but that's just my opinion. We're not going to be getting any expansion till at least 2026, unless the talks fall through again, in which case it's going to go on even longer. Yeah, I guess for now it's kind of a dead topic, but, I just kind of wanted to bring it up to throw it out there as kind of a conversation piece to talk about. And mostly just where do you guys stand on it? I'll ask the question, are you for expansion? Are you against it? Whatever your thoughts, your opinions are, let me know down below. And we're going to move on to the last topic of the day, everyone's favorite, the embarrassing story. Okay, so this, as always, is an embarrassing story from my life. It could be from at any point in my life, whether it's my childhood or my adult life, time in high school, time in middle school, doesn't matter. If I feel like telling it, I will tell you guys. And maybe you get a good laugh. Maybe you think less of me a little bit afterwards. Either way, let's get into it. So this one is an old story from when I was a kid, and when I was God, how can I set this one up? I was a huge hockey fan as a kid. I loved hockey. I still do to an extent. I mean, of course, I like the Red Wings. I do pay attention. I haven't talked about them in a while because I just don't really have a lot to say about them. I think the rebuild is ahead of schedule for the most part. I think the Red Wings are actually doing pretty well, and it's been fun to finally take some interest in the hockey team again. But anyway, this is when I was a kid. I had a goalie, like a whole goalie set. Like I had the pads, the blocker, the catcher, the nets, goalie stick, a helmet. The only thing I didn't have was pads and a cup. That's gonna come into play later. So one day, my dad and I go out in the backyard. My mom's she's out there recording everything, just kind of sitting back, relaxing, kind of just watching her son and her husband have fun. And I mean, it was fun. You know, he was taking shots at me while I was blocking him in the net. He's shooting a rubber ball at me. It's nothing. It wasn't an actual puck. Thankfully, you guys will get why in just a second, and why I decided to tell this story. Because, you know, at first glance, you might be thinking, well, Justin, this sounds like a humble little story. You and your dad playing in the backyard, whatever. Okay, so this is where it gets fun. My dad decided to start legitimately taking slap shots and trying to, like, wrist shot the ball, trying to get it airborne. He was taking legitimate shots. These were not like little kitty, like I'm gonna pull up at the last second. No, he's going full force. I don't remember how old I was when this took place. I think I was like 8 or 9, something like that. I don't know. I was still like a kid, but not like I was kind of getting into the double digits. So he's taking full, like, real legitimate shots. And eventually, he tries to take a shot for the 5-hole. Now, for those that don't know, the 5-hole is between your legs. It's the little hole that appears when, right between the legs. So, it's almost like Bill Buckner. I guess maybe I'm describing it wrong, but like anyone that knows hockey knows what the 5-hole is. So my dad tries to go for the 5-hole, and I tried to block it. Guess where the rubber ball hit me? And I'll give you a hint. It didn't get behind me. I blocked the shot, but where it did hit me, not fun. Not fun. It got me right in the spot. I remember my dad busting out laughing. My mom, I don't think she could hold the camera. I grabbed my nuts and I fell down. I just fell like a sack of bricks. And my legs are hopping up and down. I'm laying on the ground. I'm just like, oh my God, ah. It was bad. It was bad. It was a full-fledged wrist shot straight to the nuts. Not fun. Not fun. I got up, and I was so, I guess I was like a mixture of both embarrassed and angry. And then you got to understand, I was like a 9-year-old kid. I got so pissed off. I basically tried to challenge my dad to a fight, like a hockey player. I threw the gloves, I took off the gloves, I dropped the stick, and I started calling him out, like, come on, you and me, come on, you did that on purpose, I mean, you and me. My dad's just laughing at me like, son, I didn't do that. I did not do that on purpose. Relax. I'm like, no, yeah, you did. You did it on purpose. Yeah, you think you're being funny. I was so ready to fight him. I mean, honestly, it was just, it was embarrassing. Like I said, that's why I'm telling you guys. It was a funny story. Good time. Obviously, I didn't fight my dad. It did not happen, but It's a fun little story I like to tell people. It's a fun little story I just went and told all of you. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, that's going to wrap up this edition. It's going to wrap up this edition of CuJo's Corner. Be sure to throw in the comment section below everything you thought of the topics that we talked about today. Um, and as always, thank you guys for listening. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, till next time, stay awesome. If you enjoyed this video from CuJo Productions, please consider subscribing, check out my Redbubble page for all my merch, and hit the bell icon so that you're notified for every time I upload a video. As always, stay awesome, guys.